Hi there, it's Simon Hurley from Inklips. I hope you all are having a great day. Thank you so much for stopping by. Today I'm going to be sharing a couple different cards that I created using the August Spellbinders subscription kits. So that's the Die of the Month kit as well as the card making kit of the month. I'm going to be leaving links down below in case if you guys want to subscribe for these kits. You get new products to your door every month that are kind of curated together for a lower price than they actually are worth, and so you get a lot of products to create with at your doorstep. So here is the card making kit and a little bit of a close look at it. I didn't get to use everything, but I think I got my fair share of use out of this kit, and you can create a lot more cards than I did as well. For this first card, I used some of the dies from the card making kit to create my own scene in the center of the card. So I'm cutting out some of the dies from the papers that you receive as well. I cut out the I love you sentiment as well as a tag and some of the leaf kind of foliage images. And I cut those leaves out a couple of different times so I can use a bunch in the background on today's card. So to start creating the background, I took a card base and I'm blending some of the blue Distress Oxide, a really soft blend right in the center there. And that's where the tag is going to go and the whole background is. So this is just going to kind of ground all those images. So after I'm done ink blending there, I'm going to just take a little spray bottle and kind of spray a couple little tiny drips. And then I can kind of pick those up, and since it's the Distress Oxide, I can pick them up and it kind of wicks away that color so you get a cool splatter effect. Then to add some shading and kind of dimension to the leaves, I'm going to take some Distress Oxide and just blend some darker and kind of lighter colors on there. And I'm really picking up lots of ink and then just dabbing it right on the leaf, not really blending it since they're nice delicate images. And I'm going to go in with another lighter color as well, that iced spruce, to kind of add some gray tones. Now a lot of people might not do this because they don't think it's going to make the card that much difference, but it kind of shows up in the end, and with these small little details, they do give a really big difference in a clean and simple card like this. So now I'm taking that piece of cardstock that I cut out the I heart you from, and I'm adding it onto my tag as well as some liquid Nuvo adhesive. And then I can pick up those little sentiments and line them all up in the center of that die cut to make sure everything is nice and straight and how it was meant to be. So then I can peel that backer piece up and you have your little sentiment onto the tag there. So after that's complete, I'm taking some tape runner and just adding it right in the center. And this will give me a nice place so that the leaves can kind of hold on there, except they won't be really adhered on the outside, so they can kind of pop up if they want to. So I'm just adding some leaves right around, and the tag is going to come out from the center so it doesn't matter what's underneath right in the center. And I can kind of arrange the little leaf foliage right there. I'm adding some smaller ones next to the large ones, and I usually like to do it in kind of little groupings or pairs and leave some of the places empty or kind of open, and you get a really awesome kind of filled in wreath look like that. Then to get that heart a little special dimension and texture, I'm adding some Nuvo clear, but it has a little bit of glitter drops to it. And then I'm going to round the top corner with my 1/2-inch corner chomper. I haven't done this in a while, but it kind of just finishes off the card a little bit, especially when it's pretty simple like this one. And after I've cut off those top little corners there, I'm going to finish the card off by adding some more blue Nuvo. I think these are glitter drops as well, just right around that leaf in little groupings, and I did it right in a pair of 3 around the little foliage where there was little gaps. The next card is pretty simple, but it gives a really nice, fun impact from that card making kit with some of the embellishments that you're given. So I'm starting off with the sentiment. I cut out that same I heart you die out of some light pink cardstock, and I'm adding that onto this kind of fancy tag die that you can cut out as well. And I just cut that out of white, and I'm just adding those sentiments right onto there, nice and straight in the line. And then I'm going to take that backer piece that I cut it out of, and I'm going to just take my Copic marker and add some shading from the bottom of those lettering, and this just helps protect that white cardstock underneath it. So that gives a nice look to just shade that all together, and then I added that onto the card with some foam tape, and I can bring out these fun little rose flowers that come in the kit as well. Now I loved how these looked, but I had a hard time adhering them to the card as is. You would have to kind of see it sideways then, and it's too much to mention. So I decided to peel apart these little rose flowers, and it worked pretty well. It wasn't too difficult. You kind of just have to peel petal by petal, and it'll kind of come to you after that, and there's a little bit of a method to the madness. So I'm going to peel all of that apart, and then you can kind of flatten that rose down, and it's a good place to add it onto your card. So it's not too much texture, but it also is a really nice paper flower that you can add to your projects. So after I've done that, I'm going to take my 2-in-1 tool with the poker end, and I'm going to poke it right through that flower. And the kit with this bag also comes with some brads, so I decided to stick that brad right through the flower there. And then I'm also going to poke a little hole into the card right around my sentiment, and this makes it so I can stick my rose right through and add that little brad on the back side and fasten it down. You could also add a piece of paper to cover this on the inside, but I just kind of left it. It doesn't bother me too much. So after I've done that, I'm going to finish off the card by adding some green Nuvo drops just all over the place. And these are kind of the translucent ones, so they add just a little bit of something to your card, since it is pretty simple. And now we can move right on into the die of the month cards as well. So here are the dies of the month. You get some nice, really cool border dies that have a ton of detail you can create your cards with. So you get 4 big dies in this die of the month kit. Now I'm going to show you a more intricate card right here with a little bit more coloring, and then later on I'll show you a little bit more of a simple version of it. So I'm cutting out all these dies with some 110 pound white cardstock, and I'm going to just run my die tool to kind of brush over that from the tool-in-one, and that gets out all those tiny little pieces that you don't want in there, and it kind of releases the die from that as well with not much work at all. So then with these little dies, I'm coloring it in with some Copic markers, kind of feathering out my color. And then to soften it and blend it out to white, I'm going to use a kind of a Copic blender. This one is an alcohol ink pen. You can refill with alcohol. So it kind of just blends those colors together. But the Copic blender pen will do the exact same thing. So I'm adding some more orange color to go with that red right in between there, and then I'm going to do the same thing with the rest of these. So I'm just feathering in some color with the Copic markers, and then I can go in with my alcohol blender pen and just blend all these back out to white. So you get kind of a softer color than you usually would, and usually I like to keep it simple and go with 2 or 3 colors on each one that kind of go together. So if I start out using warm colors like oranges or pinks, I'm going to stick with those, and then if I use the blues or greens, I'm going to stick with those on the same strip as well. And then I can kind of mix it all together. So then on this one, I'm using yellow and pink, and on this last one, I'm going to use some greens and some blues on that bottom border. So again, I'm bringing in that alcohol pen, and it really does kind of soften some of that color and kind of pushes it around on that alcohol pen. So then after I'm done coloring everything and blending it all, I'm going to take a little strip of foam tape here and cut a little tiny piece of it down, and this is going to kind of go on some of those intricate portions of these little dies because I want the top part to be kind of popped up and the bottom part to be kind of a layering portion, and you'll see kind of what I mean here. So that bottom portion is just adhered with regular tape runner adhesive, and the top piece has little pieces of foam tape in it. That way when I keep layering all these pieces, they all are the same. So on the top layer, you get a little bit more dimension, and on that bottom layer, the next piece can kind of sit right on top of it. So I'm layering all those up, and then I'm using this hello die in this nice scripty font from Spellbinders, and I'm going to take my Copic marker here in a nice darker gray and fade that up, kind of like we did in the sentiment earlier, and then I'm going to blend that out once again using this alcohol blender pen to kind of follow along with the background. And then I've added some foam tape to the top of that sentiment and adhesive to the bottom, so the whole card is kind of cohesive with that same theme there. Then, because I'm addicted, I grabbed some Nuvo pearl drops here, and I'm going to just go in and fill in some of those little circle portions, and this just adds a little bit more embellishment onto the card while still keeping it pretty simple and eye-catching. So after I'm done with that whole background, the card is then complete, and then I'm going to show you a little bit more of a simple version of this card in case if you don't want to stick with all that coloring and all those intricate dies in one card. So for this next card, I'm going to take only 2 of those intricate die cuts, and I'm going to be blending on some ink here. I'm using the Close to My Heart inks to blend and the mini ink blending tool. So I just take some of that color, dab it off to the side so there's no harsh lines, and then blend it right onto that, and you get a nice smooth blended effect, almost like you would with the Copics, except it takes a fraction of the time. So after that's all blended on there, I'm going to add it onto my card. I've added this yellow one on to the bottom of the card just with regular tape runner adhesive, and then I'm going to pop this top flower portion of it up, and I find that these ones layer pretty nicely together. And then I'm going to take a piece of gold foil cardstock and add that to the side so you get a nice embellishment corner there and kind of finishes it off. Then for the sentiment, I'm going to use that same hello die, and I've cut it 3 times out of that white cardstock, and I'm going to layer it up quickly here and make sure everything is nice and lined up. and this just adds some more texture to your card and makes the sentiment really pop off the card. And I'm adding some liquid glue to the back of that, and I'm going to add it right onto the side there of the card, and that finishes it off. So it kind of shows a little bit more of a simple way to use these dies on a card, but still pack a really great impact into one little card, even though it is a little bit more simple. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this video, showing a little bit more inspiration for some of these subscription boxes from Spellbinders. Like I said, I'll leave a link down below in case if you're interested in checking it out for that subscription boxes. So leave this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed watching it. I also would love it if you can click that subscribe button and never miss another video like this one from me. If you also want to stop over at my blog, there will be a full supplies list there for everything I've used in today's video, as well as much more pictures and information about these cards and many others. I hope to see you guys very soon for another card making and crafting video. Have a great day!